and you're here in the room just watching, if you have to have a conversation, we ask you to go out into the hallway. We don't want to have that background noise. Thank you so much.
Welcome everybody to the final press conference for what's going to be a sensational show this Saturday night at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Premier boxing champions on Showtime Championship Boxing. This is about as good as it gets in the last year and a half, and that's a good thing that I've been able to say about that, because this is a show that is loaded with talent, loaded with competitive fights, and has a sensational main event between two of the very best fighters in the world and two of the best fighters in the welterweight division, whose styles are going to mesh, I think, really, really well and make for a super exciting fight. GARCIA and Sean Porter. This fight cannot miss. It's going to be a great fight, and the winner of this fight is going to establish themselves again as one of the men in boxing and in the welterweight division. They're both actually, in my view, I think there's not going to be a loser in this fight. I can't see this being anything but a sensational clash between two great fighters. Tickets for the live event, which I am co-promoting with TGB Promotions, Tom Brown and Brittany are here. They can be purchased at Ticketmaster.com, BarclaysCenter.com, or by calling 1-800-745-3000. They can also be purchased at the American Express box office at the Barclays Center. And tickets are moving incredibly well, and if you want to sit anywhere around the floor or near the floor or on good riser seats, you really, really better get your tickets ASAP. This event is selling as we expected to. It's got a tremendous supporting cast also. I mean, there are two other Showtime fights that should be really interesting fights. In the welterweight division, Mr. Ugas and Baron Weva fighting an eliminator. Terrific heavyweight fight between former world champion Charles Martin and up-and-coming rising star in the heavyweight division, Adam Koznoski. Okay, it's Kovnoski. It's not Kalnacki though, everybody. At least I'm trying to get it right. Once again, we're going to be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which has become one of the homes for big-time boxing, the premier homes for big-time boxing in the world. I know that Brett Yormark has bigger plans going forward, and he's going to talk about them right now, and it's my pleasure to bring up my friend and the man that's been behind the branding of Brooklyn boxing and the emergence of the Barclays Center as the premier East Coast venue for boxing, Brett Yormark.
Thank you, Lou, and thank you for all being here today. You know, as I think about where we've come from, I have to reflect for a moment or two. This month, it's 6 years we've been in Brooklyn, and in that time, we have hosted 260 bouts, 46 title fights, and on Saturday, it's our 30th big night of Brooklyn boxing since we opened the doors. So, what an accomplishment, and I thank all of you that are here tonight for playing such a big role. You know, from the start, we wanted to make a commitment to the sport. Brooklyn had a legacy in the sport, and for us, we felt we needed to revive that tradition, and I think we've been able to do that. Fight nights like this Saturday, I think in many respects, help us stand out, you know, from the other venues in the marketplace. We have two of the sport's greatest champions facing off against one another for the welterweight title. And as Lou said, it's a card that's totally stacked. We've got local talent, and they're all 50-50 fights. And that's truly what defines Brooklyn boxing. Danny and Sean, welcome back. Brooklyn loves you both, and you know you both have played a huge role in the emergence of the Brooklyn boxing brand, so thank you both very much. Adam, you and Amanda are kind of carrying the torch for Brooklynites, so welcome back. When Amanda gets here, I'll welcome her as well. Charles, glad to have you back. And if I remember correctly, I think you became a world champion in our ring. So welcome back to Brooklyn. You're Dennis and Cesar, welcome to Brooklyn for the first time. You're in for an electric atmosphere on Saturday night. I don't think there's anything like being in Brooklyn on fight night. You know, as we celebrate our 30th fight, I'm wanting to make an announcement tonight, and we'll put out a press release a little later today. But I'm proud to announce that the Barclays Center has been named officially as of today the official East Coast venue for the PBC. We will be exclusive here in New York when it comes to PBC fights. And rather than being asked the question, no, you'll never see a PBC fight at the Gar. Okay? Only in Brooklyn. The PBC will bring the biggest and best fights on the East Coast to our ring. We will host a minimum of 8 major big PBC fights a year. And a press release is forthcoming. We'll give that out to you today. I first and foremost want to thank the PBC. The relationship we've built over 15 fights together is invaluable. And this announcement today solidifies our shared goals in continuing to provide the best platform possible for the sport. With PBC's recently renewed partnership with Showtime Sports, along with your deal with Fox and FS1, it's truly an exciting time for the entire sport of boxing. We're not a subscription platform. What the PBC announced this week is unprecedented. We're going to reach the masses, unprecedented promotion and support, and most of all, our great athletes that make up the PBC will be brought to homes all across this country, and in some respects for the first time. Because what this sport needs is promotion. And I think Fox, as well as Showtime, who's been at it for years, is going to provide just that. I want to congratulate, although he's not here with us today, Stephen Espinoza and his staff at Showtime. I mean, they've done an incredible job for the sport, and obviously announced, recently their continued relationship with the PBC. Obviously, we welcome Fox and FS1 into the sport in a bigger and better way. Lou DeBell and his team have been terrific, and Lou, thanks for all your support in making today possible for the Barclays Center, but for promoting just world-class events at our venue. I look forward to seeing everyone later this week, Saturday night in Brooklyn. As Lou said, the tickets are going really fast. It should be a packed house, electric, and it's what Brooklyn boxing is all about. Thank you very much.
As Brett noted, Stephen Espinoza had a family emergency, so he's not with us today. There were big announcements this week and groundbreaking announcements for Premier Boxing Champions about their new relationship with Fox, which I think is going to be a great thing for boxing fans and for big-time boxing, its visibility and promotion and marketing. But Showtime is remaining an industry leader in the boxing industry, and announced themselves last week a continued relationship with Premier Boxing Champions. And I think you're going to see more of this type of show on Showtime, a continuance of the premier boxing telecasts on premium cable. And to talk about that, I'd like to bring up the Senior Vice President of Showtime Boxing, Chris DeBosio.
Thank you, Lou. Lou stole a bit of my lead here, so we'll skip ahead and keep this brief. I know we want to hear from the fighters. We're excited for this Saturday for sure. A bit of a renaissance happening in the boxing industry. The Fox output deal with PBC, PBC's agreement with the Barclays Center, and of course our long-term relationship being solidified last week with our announcement of a 3-year commitment, and I think it'll continue long after that as well. As Lou had mentioned, we have established ourselves as a leader in the industry, and we're all really, really proud of that. And I think I speak on behalf of Stephen and all of our staff when I say how proud we are to be leading the biz. It's an incredible time for boxing, and our commitment has been and will continue to be second to none. Over the past several years, we have delivered the largest slate of live boxing events on television. We have the most pivotal matchups in boxing's deepest divisions. There's no other entity that's put as many resources, both financially and editorially, behind the sport and the growth. And our relationship with the PBC, and in large part with the Barclays Center, we do so many events with them, it has fostered that growth. In 2018 alone, Showtime has delivered 26 live boxing events, 22 world title fights. That's far more than anyone else. And it's not just the quantity, but it's the quality. Fight of the year contenders: Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz earlier this year at Barclays Center. Arislandi Lara versus Jared Hurd was an incredible bout. Adonis Stevenson and Badu Jack had a war. We've had 3 world title unification fights. We've had 4 women's world title fights, notably Saturday night. This will be our 4th Showtime Championship boxing event at the Barclays Center just this year. It is our 19th overall in the building out of the 30 that Brett mentioned. That's an incredibly strong number, 2/3 already. We're proud of our collaboration with Brett Yormark and his team at Barclays. We think that we have done work together to contribute to elevate the experience both in the arena and for fans watching on TV. Saturday's main event. This is a 50-50 matchup. It's one that's been predicted by legends Manny Pacquiao and Ray Leonard, as well as contemporaries Keith Thurman and Mikey Garcia, as an all-action, exciting fight. Hard to pick a winner. This will be our 8th matchup of consensus top 5 ranked opponents on Showtime just this year. That's a remarkable number of top champions facing their top challengers. It's a trend that's proven to be contagious amongst the PBC fighters, and we've all enjoyed watching and the benefits of that. Together, Danny Garcia and Sean Porter have been presented by our team at Showtime 20 times. We've seen them come of age, earn world titles, achieve stardom, and even survive dramatic razor-thin setbacks. Now they're headed for what is arguably the biggest night of their careers. In all, we'll present 6 fights on Saturday night live, each significant in its own right. The 3 Showtime Championship boxing bouts will begin live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, and we have 3 preliminary fights airing on our social media channels beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. We have 2 rising stars on our countdown show, and we have 1 potentially record-setting world title fight featuring Amanda Serrano. So, like so many before it, Saturday's fight card is a can't-miss event. We look forward to bringing it to you, and we look forward to helping to lead this renaissance for many years to come. Thank you, and good luck to all you fighters.
Before we get to the main Showtime fights, there is a terrific undercard yet again on the show. There's some terrific fights off of television and terrific talent, including undefeated fighters Jeffrey Torres and Dylan Price from Philadelphia, undefeated in his first time on the mainland for a pro fight. From the Virgin Islands, Olympian, stepson Julian Jackson, Clayton Law, stand up. Heavyweight, obviously a heavyweight. Cordell Booker, undefeated out of Brooklyn, New York, and we've, on every one of our shows, had a presence from Brooklyn and from the 5 boroughs, and fighters that have represented New York in the Golden Gloves and tried to create a local flavor. On that note, Chris Colbert, rising star from Brooklyn, New York, 8-0 in the featherweight division. And both Chris and Richardson Hitchens will be on the Showtime stream that begins at 7 p.m. as Chris de Blasio said. I also want to acknowledge a young lady that's fighting Amanda Serrano, the 140-pound WBO junior welterweight, but the junior welterweight championship is 140 pounds. But it's the 140-pound title of the WBO, Yamila Reynoso, who is also there. And then I'm going to bring up to represent the undercard, but also to represent women's boxing, and we've done this on every show we've done under the Brooklyn Boxing banner, and PBC's done it on every show we've done in the New York area. There's been a premier female fighter on the card, and on Saturday night it's going to be no different. It might be a little different because this female fighter at 29 years old on Saturday night will likely, or I'm not going to say will likely because I can't look past any opponent, and this is a tough fight with a much, much bigger woman. But she's going after her 6th world championship in her 6th weight division. That's only been done in the history of boxing by Manny Pacquiao and Oscar De La Hoya. She's 29 years old, and if she does that on Saturday night, she's likely cementing her Hall of Fame, and I sort of trophy in here, her Hall of Fame credentials, in my view. I'd like to bring